Hey friends, welcome back for Flavor Friday. If we haven't met yet, I'm Rebecca Connolly, personal chef, culinary nutritionist, cooking teacher, and business mentor. I help women just like you simplify meals, build confidence in the kitchen, and create flavorful food that actually supports real life. And today's conversation comes from something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. I think many women already think differently about food more than they realize, and not necessarily in a professional capacity, but practically, relationally, intuitively. They notice preferences, adapt meals naturally, think about flavor instinctively, mentally organize kitchens, perhaps all day long, and quietly carry a huge amount of invisible labor around food. And interestingly, many of those exact same patterns are actually foundational personal chef skills. So today, I want to talk about how chefs think about meals differently, why repeat meals are often a strength, not a weakness, how flavor reduces food fatigue, a few practical shifts you can implement immediately. Of course, we don't just want to talk theory here. We want to go transform our kitchen experience, right? And why sustainable meals matter more than perfect meals. And if you're here live, or the replay, please drop hello down below in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And also let me know, what meal does your household repeat over and over just because it works? Everyone eats it. You can prepare it almost on autopilot. What do you like to eat over and over again? We like to eat spaghetti and meatballs over and over again. All right. So what I first want to address is how chefs think in systems, not just in recipes. One thing chefs learn fairly quickly is that cooking becomes much easier when you stop relying entirely on recipes. I know, it's the first thing we do, right? Oh, we have a meal to cook. Let's go look for a recipe. And of course, recipes matter, but often, chefs, personal chefs, culinary pros are going to think about these things first and drop down below if you've made this bit of a shift in your thinking since finding me. We often think about flavor profiles, overlapping ingredients, flexibility, timing, texture, and what realistically fits the week ahead. For example, instead of planning 7 or 5 or 3 completely unrelated meals, a culinary pro might think, well, let's have tacos one night. We could have taco bowls another, maybe for lunch. So you have tacos one evening. You could take a taco bowl for lunch the next day. If you have chicken left over from said tacos and taco bowls, you could make a soup with that, right? And if you've made the chicken flavored simply with garlic, onion, salt, pepper, then that soup could be any flavor. Doesn't need to be, Mexican chicken tortilla soup. And if you made a batch of roasted vegetables to start off with the tacos, those roasted vegetables could go in the soup. And again, if you kept the flavoring simple, say garlic, onion, salt, pepper, and maybe did some oregano on there. Now, Mexican and Italian oregano are different. They do have a slightly different flavor profile. But if you threw some oregano on there, you could make a Italian flavored soup with your leftover chicken and vegetables. Okay. So this isn't because there's a lack of creativity, but it's because systems reduce friction. And honestly, the healthiest kitchens that I've seen work exactly this way too. Not endless novelty, not perfectly optimized meals, just rhythms that support real life consistently. So I'd love to know, what part of dinner for you feels most exhausting lately? Is it deciding what to make? Sometimes, honestly, that can be the hardest thing. Is it that you do have truly picky eaters in your household? So you're working with particular flavors and textures, versions, or the opposite? Is it that this week is time crunched? Is it that you're trying to make meals healthier, or maybe you have some new nutrition guidelines that need to be followed that you want to implement for the whole family, or ones that, maybe there's an allergy that was discovered in one person in your household? Or are you constantly feeling like you need new ideas? Tell me down below. I would love to know, and I would love to help you out. Let's reduce the decision fatigue and the dread that can come with, oh my gosh, what what am I cooking this week and how am I going to get it in there and get it done? Okay. So the next part of this is why flavor matters more than people think, more than you think, more than I think sometimes. One thing I think that gets overlooked constantly in nutrition conversations is flavor, because we are more likely, statistically it shows, study shows, we are more likely to continue eating those awesome, nourishing meals when those meals actually taste good to us. So remember, no two people taste the same ingredient, the same meal, the exact same way. And our taste buds renew every 15 days or so. Okay. So this matters a lot. What tastes good to you may not, definitely doesn't taste exactly the same. It may still taste good, but it's not going to taste the same as the person next to you, right? So this matters incredibly a lot, especially for busy families and busy professionals. This is one reason, significant reason, rigid meal plans often fall apart so quickly, or we can only stick to them, white knuckling it for so long, not because we don't lack discipline, but because possibly bland, repetitive, joyless food is incredibly difficult to sustain long term. Now, I am not throwing any kind of shade at health coaches or wellness professionals, dietitians, or the like, but their focus is the macros. Their focus is, how does this meal come together nutritionally? It is not necessarily, their focus is not, how do I build flavor into this meal? That's my job. That's the job of the personal chef, okay? Because flavor is what creates satisfaction. Satisfaction supports consistency. That's a huge shift. So I want to give you these 3 practical flavor tips this week that you can implement tonight when you're making dinner or even at lunchtime if you're home, right? The first one is finish meals with acid. I know you've probably heard this a lot, but let me remind you, a squeeze of lemon or lime, a splash of vinegar, pickled onions. This immediately brightens food and helps leftovers feel less heavy or repetitive. Okay, so acid is going to uplift a dish. It's going to help bring out the flavor that's already in that meal. Now, the goal, as with salt, is not to make it taste lemony, limey, vinegary. The goal is to simply lift the flavor that is already in there, make it a little bit, just make it pop, as you hear, right? Okay. The second practical tip is use fresh herbs at the end of cooking, not at the beginning. That's for dried herbs. Fresh herbs added at the end will dramatically change how the meals taste. Again, it's going to give it a bit of freshness and the flavor is going to feel more layered. So if you have included, say, dried thyme and parsley in the meal while it's cooking, then garnish at the end with a little bit of fresh thyme and a little bit of fresh parsley. So you have the same flavors, but you've got them layered into the dish. Okay. And the third tip, create one flavor booster. This could be sauces, such as a chimichurri that's easily done in the food processor. A garlic yogurt sauce doesn't even need a food processor, just mix it up. A salsa, seasoned butter, crunchy toppings, spicy mayo, and the list goes on, right? One small sauce or topping can make repeat meals feel completely different throughout the week, like in the example above where we started with taco night. And honestly, this is exactly how culinary pros keep repeat meals from feeling boring. So let me recap those 3 practical tips for you real quick. The first one is finish meals with acid. And remember, the goal is not to make it taste like that acid. The goal is to add just a drop, just enough to lift that flavor. The second is use your fresh herbs at the end, right before serving, not at the beginning. That's for dried herbs that will layer the flavors in there. Okay. And 3, create or use one flavor booster. There are so many high quality products on the market right now. But of course, making your own, you always know that it's whole ingredients and it doesn't have any of those icky ingredients in there that could be inflammatory for you or worse, right? So use a flavor booster, a sauce or a topping. You could use your favorites or you could try a new one. And those could even be sort of a choose your own at the table. Okay. And so why repeat meals are actually smart. We've been talking a lot about this lately. So many of us assume that we're bad at meal planning if we repeat meals too often, right? If you look at any kind of food content on social media, then your feed's going to show you more food content, and then it can just feel overwhelming. And then you're saving all those recipes, right? How many of us have actually gone back to those recipes? To be honest, I haven't. But I always think, oh, that could be a good one. So I'm going to save it for later. Okay. But repeatability isn't a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of I'm terrible at this. It's not a sign of lack of creativity. It's usually a sign that your kitchen system is becoming sustainable for you. Remember that you're not a restaurant. You are cooking in a household for yourself, for others. This is a private atmosphere. This is for you. This is for those in, these are for your people. This is for you and your people. This is not for the general public. You are not trying to appeal in general or trying to quote unquote educate the public on a certain flavor profile, right? So repeat meals in a kitchen system that is becoming sustainable, what does it do? It lowers your decision fatigue. Raise your hand down below. How many of us just need less decision fatigue in general in life? Repeat meals will simplify your grocery shopping. You know what you're grabbing every week. Honestly, I prefer to shop at a smaller grocery store on a regular basis because I know it keeps me focused on those whole food ingredients. I know it's there, and I'm not getting distracted by, ooh, look, there's a brand new product. Maybe I should try that. No, 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 no. We don't want that for a regular, everyday kitchen system, right? That's for a cooking project. Repeat meals will also reduce waste in your home, which means less money going out the window, right? Repeat meals will help families and busy professionals eat at home consistently. This is the hard part, right? I know for families, we're running, school pickup is mid-afternoon, and then we're running the rest of the evening if your kids are in activities. So you may not even be home at that usual, what used to be usual dinner time. You may be getting home later in the day or later in the evening, right? It could be 7, 8 o'clock. And by that time, you've got what, 1, 2 hours to eat, get homework done, bedtime routine, get into bed. You're up at 5:30, 6 o'clock the next morning, rinse and repeat, right? So having repeatable, easy systems, simple systems at home that you can rely on will help you eat more better at home instead of going through that drive-through on the way home, right? And repeat meals, especially for children in the home, create familiarity, create a sense of security during stressful seasons. So, as you can see here, the goal is not endless variety. The goal is meals that support your real life. That's very different. Now, you can always have cooking projects, but the everyday cooking to go through the week, you want meals that support your real life. Okay. One thing that I've also realized over the years, and I've been cooking professionally for 20, is that many women, many of you already carry these highly transferable kitchen skills without recognizing them as valuable, especially moms. How many hats do we wear, right? How many specialties do we have? All right. So if you are naturally organizing meals, noticing preferences, thinking about flavor, adapting constantly, and I don't mean in a haphazard way, right? I mean in a thoughtful, reflective, hopefully not crazy way, and enjoy caring for people. Through food, personal chef work is often more flexible and more relational than you realize. And it's also a very simple business model to set up. So many personal chefs that I know that started at the same time that I did, and many of them I'm still in touch with. Many of us just began with one family, one client, one busy professional, one cook day a week, and one client who genuinely needs that in-person culinary kitchen support, right? That's it. No restaurant, no commercial kitchen, no huge operation, no huge upfront investment, no ongoing overhead. Well, I don't want to say no ongoing overhead. There are a couple of things, and you do have to check what is required in your local area, right? But meaningful work begins much more quietly than you might expect. So, depending on where you are right now, there are a few ways that I can support you. If today's conversation helps simplify how you think about meals, go back to those 3 practical steps on how to add flavor to your meals. Comment flavor, and I'll send you the replay details and our community info where we talk more about how to build flavor and taste. If you want practical help building flavorful sustainable meal systems at home, comment kitchen, and I'll send you details on my Cook With Me membership. This is where we focus on flavor building, flexible cooking, practical meal systems, and real life implementation with monthly sessions. And if you've ever wondered quietly whether your kitchen skills could someday become something more, or maybe today is that day, comment launch, and I'll send information about my 90-day personal chef mentorship program. Because honestly, you already have far more skills than you realize. All right. And I, of course, would always love to chat with you. If you'd like personalized support in your own kitchen or wondering if this what the next best step is for you, comment call, and I'll send you my Clarity Call link to book your free consult. So before we wrap up, I would love to hear from you. What is one small shift from today's live that you want to try this week? Which of those practical tips spoke to you? Is it adding acid? Is it what were they again? Adding acid, uh, fresh herbs at the end of the meal, or are you going to try a new sauce or topping, right? So, what's one small shift from those three practical tips that you're going to implement, maybe even today in your meals? And also let me know, what meal does your household always come back to? We also always come back to homemade pizza. Thank you so much for spending part of your Friday with me. I'm very grateful that you are here. Uh, I am here because you are here supporting me. So thank you. Flavor is how we savor at the table and in life. Until next time, keep it simple.